Okie dokie. In any second now, we should be live. Hello, everybody. I'm Kevin from BFB. I'm here with Spencer from CryptoEQ.io. And we got a great weekend live stream for you today. As you can see here, these are our topics. We're going to talk about Binance, Axie Infinity, Crypto.com sponsorship, on-chain versus technicals, and your live chat questions as well. So you got a great slew of topics. And of course, we're going to be answering any live chat questions you have. So give us a shout out if you're there in the live chat, and we'll be sure to get to you as well. All right, one sec. Let me, I guess, Spencer, can you give us a quick overview about Crypto EQ and what you're working on before we dive into the market here?
Sure. Kevin, this is a nice way to roll into the weekend, so thank you for having me on. We founded CryptoEQ to really be a North Star for digital asset research and market insights. We founded the company years ago, realizing that crypto is very confusing.
It
There's
is.
thousands of projects, and we didn't see really a standard framework for how to think about the space and how to evaluate different altcoins and even large caps like Bitcoin and Ethereum. So we created a framework, both on the technicals front and the fundamentals front, to evaluate a number of cryptos. And that's what we do every day at CryptoEQ.io. And I think that we'll be able to provide some cool context to
Yeah.
some of the discussions on your channel.
Yeah, for sure. So in terms of the market, guys, while we let people flow in, let's take a brief look at the market before we dive into our topics. It's still on a sideways pattern. It's been like this, holding this lower to mid 30,000 range for Bitcoin for quite a while now. What's your general view of the crypto markets right now?
Yeah, my guidance for folks that are especially newer to crypto, and if this is your first market cycle, would be to be patient. I think there's two scenarios in the short term that are likely. One, continued consolidation, or two, a potential leg down. I'm also, in the camp that thinks that 64, 65K is not the market top for this cycle. But in the short term, I encourage folks to be patient, and to watch some of the significant events in July and early August in the market, like the grayscale unlocks being a potential fundamental event for the market. So in
That's
summary, be patient, and
yeah.
uh, I think that we have some room to consolidate and potentially move down.
I'm totally down for consolidation for like another month or two. Just like get a
Yeah.
really solid base here and then move up again.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we test 30K again.
If we do have a leg down, what kind of levels for Bitcoin are you looking at or you're thinking about?
Yeah, and in modeling out some of the different possibilities, I think that a scenario where we drop below 24K is very unlikely. So I don't see a move below 24K as a likely scenario. So to me, that would be the floor for this move down.
24K. Got it. Got it. Yeah, so that would leave the people who are waiting for like the lower 20Ks in the dust if it never gets there.
I don't see us retesting 20K as a likely scenario. Now, of course, I mean, in trading, you want to be as objective as possible and
Yeah,
evaluate all of the possible outcomes. What I'm talking about are things that I think have a significant non-zero probability.
for sure.
So of course, 20K is a possibility. I just don't think it's a significant possibility.
Right, right, definitely. Okay, so like we said, folks, these are the topics we want to dive into today. And if you have any thoughts or questions about any of these, would love to take a further look into whatever y'all are thinking about. But the first one is a topic that we've covered in previous live streams too. And I have a few tweets about this. Let me go into my screen share. So it definitely seems like Binance has been feeling the heat a lot lately, right? Like just in these this past week, another financial regulator came out and just did their thing, like warned people about Binance and whatnot, Poland in this case. And some side effects of that is that banks are blocking payments to Binance across the world, right? Like Barclays did, and then now Santander did as well. Like they literally will reject your like I'm pretty sure credit card payments, but perhaps even like just like bank transfers into Binance or whatnot. Wait, actually, they don't even do bank transfers into Binance.com. Scratch that. I think just the credit card stuff.
Yeah. So I mean, what we're seeing is bodies around the world exercising governance on the on ramps to the largest exchange in the world. It's it's tough to see for Binance as a global leader, but they have been extremely aggressive in expanding their products and services worldwide, and I do see this as a natural progression. You have counterparties to Binance that have been more compliance first, more diligent in the way they went to market, and aren't as big as Binance that they don't have these issues. So I see this as a natural pain for the global leader in crypto exchanges.
Yeah, and they kind of got huge by moving fast and just like flaunting all these regulations, right? That's how they got. I don't have the chart with me, but there was this chart showing like stacked how much volume each exchange has, and Binance has by far the most global volume, and they do that by just really not caring at all and just like giving the people, giving the degenerates what they want in terms of like gambling products and crazy leverage and whatever.
Yeah, I don't know if it was on your channel, but Crypto Casino, that Binance is one of the crypto casinos.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
yeah,
We said to think of CZ, the founder of Binance, as one of the most talented casino operators out there.
yeah, yeah. It's a,
Especially some of their derivatives and like their tokens that track stocks or something. They said that those were like faulty products and they would like harm the retail because it wouldn't directly like it wasn't well architected, so it would like not really track it properly and things like that.
yeah. I think this is low hanging fruit for regulators around the world to clamp down if they with this how aggressive they've been in expanding.
Yeah, and CZ actually wrote a letter to just the general public talking about like all these regulators like coming at Binance and how they're focused on protecting user interests. One thing that really stood out to me though is that they've been hiring a lot of former like compliance and regulators people, whether they're like ambassador or senator or FATF executive. That seems to be the game plan for these exchanges, like hire high level former SEC or other regulator folks to try to help them either move in the right direction or get some more favorable treatment.
Yeah, Brian Brooks is a great example of that, right? He was working on compliance at Coinbase. He was also working on the comptroller of the currency for the US, and now he's heading up Binance US. So potentially could make some significant progress for Binance US. Maybe even in our state, we'd eventually be able to use Binance US above boards, but today that's not the case.
Yeah, exactly. And this article poses an interesting question like, is Binance kind of like not only them, but also targeting the crypto ecosystem as a whole? Like this one, what they said, the firm, some people say the firm has only itself to blame for this recent burst of regulatory heat, but others fear the exchange is being held as a scapegoat for the entire crypto sector, which has grown too large too fast in the eyes of some authorities.
I don't think they're a scapegoat. I think that's low hanging fruit. I mean, we know that they've been extremely aggressive in expanding and becoming a global leader for exchanges. and they're wide open from regulator standpoint to clamp down. They're
Exactly.
bleeding edge. In new jurisdictions, new countries, rapid expansion.
Yeah,
I just see it as
that's
yeah.
exactly what they say here. Like they have no public headquarters, and they made false statements about being regulated in some of these jurisdictions. Like they went from China to Japan to like Malta to Cayman Islands. Now God knows where they're based. Like I don't think anyone even knows except maybe CZ and a handful of his top deputies. We don't even know
Yeah,
where he is. Like people used to say that he's just like living out of a suitcase, like hotel to hotel.
in terms of the legal structure, it does feel like there's a lot of shells moving around by design, right?
Yeah. And what's really interesting is that the retail investors aren't really panicking about this, though, because I saw some guy on Twitter post that if it were him, he would withdraw everything from Binance. But based on the data out there, people haven't been like panic withdrawing from that exchange.
Yeah, something practical for your viewership. I think it's always good to have multiple exchanges that you're confident in. And I say that for a number of reasons. The regulatory unclarity with Binance is a great example, but also when the market's trading at peak times, you always want to have a backup in case that you have any outages on the exchange that you prefer as your primary exchange. So this is a great wake up call if you haven't been trading on multiple exchanges to get a new account going and perhaps move funds out from Binance into other exchanges.
What do you think about all of this regulatory pressure on Binance? Some people have theorized that that's going to lead to in the future centralized exchanges just serving as an on ramp for decentralized exchanges.
Yeah, it's an interesting theory. If DEXs continue to do what they do, then you will still need that on ramp, right? How do you get your fiat? How do you get your dollar, whatever your local currency is, into a tokenized asset? But once you have a tokenized asset and DEXs are more mature, say years down the road, and the user interface is and the user experience is every bit as good as a centralized exchange, what's the utility? Right. So,
Yeah.
that I could see a situation where I could see that playing out, where your centralized exchanges are more for your it's more your fiat on ramp.
Yeah, just
Um,
like get some Bitcoin or Ether and then start moving that elsewhere.
yeah.
And that kind of reminds me. So you mentioned that crypto EQ is you guys are directing your research into various niches or verticals of the crypto space. Can you kind of tell me like which ones you guys are most focused on right now?
Yeah, I mean, with your question about DEXs, right? It's a good indicator that DeFi is top of mind for a lot of folks. So the next 6 months of our core rating lineup will be heavily focused on DeFi projects. So we have a number of things in the works that we're excited to share with our communities and share with the BFB community.
Uh huh.
I also say that a part of our regular cadence is reevaluating projects. So you'll see upgrades and downgrades to our rating systems very soon in terms of the gold, silver, bronze, neutral, deficient. The crypto markets are perpetual and they're 24/7, and our core rating framework adapts to that. So you'll see some core ratings shifting up and down with the market.
Are we allowed to hear like which one is the next up, or is that like stay tuned?
That's stay tuned. Now
Okay,
our premium members do get early access. So if you want to know first, that's the best way to
got
find
it,
out.
got it.
But yeah, we have to keep it under wraps until we make the
Okay,
public. Yeah,
sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah, I really enjoy those upgrade downgrade articles too, so I can get caught up to speed.
yeah.
Okay,
They're fun.
let's see. So one sec. Let me pull up this chart for everyone to see. Wow, look at that chart. This is Axie Infinity, and you would not think that we're in like a sideways boring market right now.
Not at all. I think that's incredible
BTC
price action.
ratio.
It's incredible price action in a time where, you know, I open the show like be patient, be patient. To see an altcoin, it's not even a terribly small cap. I mean, now it's top 100 project, right? So to see that amount of liquidity move a project like this up,
Wow. Yeah.
it's pretty incredible. It speaks to the strength of the NFT sector. Yeah. Now, like when I started reading about this project, for folks out there, the token is AXS.
Hmm.
It's a governance token, and it's really intended to help empower people that use this metaverse, the Infinity metaverse, to have saying power in shaping the direction of the game. So not only does it allow you to participate in the metaverse, but with the governance token, you can help shape the development of the future of the game, which is disruptive to kind of the traditional model that Kevin and I grew up with in terms of gaming. The game developers decide what it is, and then you consume it as a user. So I think that's an interesting feature of metaverses is they can be more dynamic. And so I think that's a key differentiating factor for AXS. When researching, I compare it to things like Mana, Decentraland,
Yeah.
or
Decentraland.
Sandbox, SAND, other metaverse projects that are all part of this emerging NFT sector. Now, I don't think that even though that NFT sector is emerging and very interesting and disruptive, I don't think that it's going to be up and to the right forever in the sense that movements in Bitcoin will affect
Yeah.
this sector as a whole. But AXS is an interesting anomaly to see that kind of price action.
I
Like you
really
said,
want to dive into AXS next in my channel. I was gonna do like Elron, but I think I'm gonna swap in AXS for it because this reminds me of. This is really cool actually because I only took a brief look into Axie Infinity, but it's like CryptoKitties but with a game built on top. So obviously, like I bought a CryptoKitty or two. It's cool, but you can really only look at it and like trade it per se and breed it, whatever. But still, like Axie, you can play. It reminds me of those mobile games where you can just like level up, tap, and attack people. I used to play those mobile games all the time. It's like that, but then now you can buy and trade and like own land, and it's really like one of those, um, yeah, those like role playing games on mobile that I just like download and play for free. But
yeah,
I think that's awesome to have a game component because like I would play those a lot, put in a lot of hours for those, but something like CryptoKitties or CryptoPunks or whatever else NFT, just staring at it, using it as like a badge of honor or like show off. I mean, I think I get it, but personally, I don't really care that much. Like if someone has a cool $100,000 crypto kitty or $1 million crypto punk, I'm like whatever. But like actually playing a game and like earning stuff from it and leveling up and like having rare cool powers that you can use to attack people, that's like much stronger of a reason like for this to be purchased and traded and have value in my opinion.
yeah. It's a continuation of this trend of digitization of assets, tokenization of things that are valuable to you, your property. I personally probably won't play a lot of these games, but if I were to develop an investment theme around them, I would certainly want to experience them.
Exactly.
Um, when I was evaluating Decentraland and Mana, one of the first things I did was just go play around in the metaverse and see what it's like, see how the UX is, see how the interface is. Because building a game is no short order. I mean, that's a very intense process. So
Yeah.
I encourage people to test these out. They're very open and you can dabble
Did you like
and
it?
yourself. I thought that Mana had a long way to go in terms of the UX. So I didn't allocate to Mana,
Okay, got it.
but I'm still open minded to try out other games. Yeah.
Yeah. I know Gods and Chain was another like big one that came out a while ago. But it's like a card game kind of. Yeah, but Axie Infinity, they're growing in popularity. Now they're growing in like Twitch viewership. So that's like another metric of their increased adoption. And this guy, let me zoom in a little bit. So he says that he's not worried about the hype with Axie Infinity because they've been around for 3 years. The player base and demand is increasing in the hundreds of thousands. Massive community, and they are way ahead of any play to earn economy. So apparently, you have to like, okay, so I might be butchering this a little bit, but you have to like buy an entry level Axie, like a little pet monster thingy. But if you can't afford it, then you can go through like this scholarship program and like profit share, if I'm not mistaken. And so a lot of people in like developing countries have been entering that, and they can earn like a couple hundred, a few $100s a month, which for them, like that's awesome, right? So they've been playing a lot, and they've been playing hours every day, not only for fun but also to generate an additional income stream.
That's interesting. So you choose your character in the beginning, and if you aren't able to afford the character, you can get a sponsor. That's what
Yeah,
it sounds.
exactly, exactly. Um, okay, let me see real quick. So yeah, this is really interesting that Axie is taking off right now because the NFT space, right? It had that huge, like everyone, all the artists were doing NFTs like in the first quarter of 2021, but then it kind of died down a bit. Like if you look at the stats, they all like dropped in like the months following, but apparently now there's still like some signs of renewed life. What do you think about NFTs just in general?
I think that there's a lot of exuberance around the time of year you just mentioned. There's a lot of exuberance even at Bitcoin Miami, which is more of a maximalist centric conference. There's a whole segment of the venue dedicated to NFTs. So I think that it is part of this larger trend of digitization of assets, digitization of arts. I think the concept of NFTs is here to stay, but I think there'll be a lot of froth, as we've already seen. So some clear winners will emerge. It's a long-term trend. Be careful in the short term. That's kind of my general take.
Have you bought any NFTs personally?
I've been gifted a lot of NFTs. I have not purchased any NFTs. Again, it's kind of like the metaverse comments. Like, although I'm not personally interested in them
Mm-hmm.
right now, I recognize the trend and respect the global interest in what's happening. So I want to be open minded to learn about it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I usually like only feel comfortable investing in projects that I consider have real utility. But on the other hand, I've also invested in some meme coins, just like half for fun and half for speculation. And yet, when I see stuff like NFTs, like CryptoPunks or other ones that have like proven investment demand for it, I still feel like uncomfortable. Like I would feel uncomfortable shelling out like several ETH for any particular just like prime NFT or something like that. I just can't get my wrap my mind around that
Well,
quite yet.
especially when you could take that Ethereum and use it as collateral or earn interest on it or stake it. I mean, there's just it doesn't make much sense to me either. Um, but a lot of people are excited about it, and it's something we should watch.
For sure, for sure. Let me read some excerpts from this article about. Okay, so they started in 2018. They're an RPG, turn-based RPG game. You can buy, sell, trade, breed, and battle And wow, they've amassed a whopping $200 million worth of sales in the past month. Like you said, the AXS is their governance. And then they have an in-game SLP, or Small Love Potion token, which is ERC20.
Yeah.
Do we know if they're built on layer 2? They can't be layer 1.
I read that either one of their competitors or they were making a shift to. I think Sandbox recently made a shift to Polygon and Matic
Yeah.
as
Did
their scaling solution.
did Axie
I'm not.
Infinity do that too?
If they haven't, they should follow suit. I can't confirm.
Infinity Matic. Let me see if they are. Axie Infinity is 2019. Okay, let's see. Okay, so this is a while ago. Let's see if they're still. Okay. A YouTube video. So, not sure, but it looks like it though.
This is the announcement of the announcement.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so to begin your journey in the Axie universe, you have to acquire 3 Axies. Right now, the floor on each adult Axie is around 0.1 ETH, or as high as 0.2 ETH. Wow. Okay, so you gotta shell out to play this game, I guess.
Yeah, you gotta be pretty serious.
Yeah. You have to level up and climb the ladder. Okay. You can go arena mode. Yeah, this is all normal stuff for games. You can also earn or farm SLPs. Yeah, this reminds me just of like those mobile games that I play, that you can do all these things. Okay, one of the biggest reasons why Axie Infinity has gone to infinity is due to its successful scholarship program. They're allowed to farm out their pets and scholars through different profit sharing methods. Oh, okay. So people can still play and earn without the necessary capital. Instead of just parking them, you can like rent them to people who grind on a daily basis. Though not a foolproof system, is win-win. Here's what I was talking about. In the Philippines, Axie scholarships have completely taken over and have been a legitimate source of income. Scholars earn around $300 per month for playing the game 1 to 2 hours per day, while on average, owners and managers also get a fair share. That is pretty cool. I like that, actually. So you can like use it as a passive income mechanism. If you don't want to grind on the game every day, you can like rent it to people and they can play in exchange for money.
And so in exchange, you're sponsoring their character.
You buy
That's
the
a
character and they rent it, and you kind of like pay them a cut of what you earn, what your character earns.
fascinating. Yeah, that definitely could scale. Yeah, I think I'm more interested in sponsoring characters.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially, like, I wonder if there's a way to like develop direct relationships with the people that you sponsor. Like that'd be much more exciting to like get to know the story behind the people that want to play the game.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
All right. So our next topic is this continued trend of crypto companies sponsoring different brands and sports teams and whatnot. It's like we saw FTX go on a tear sponsoring Major League Baseball, the Miami Heat Stadium, and Tom Brady, other ones. And now Crypto.com joins the mix, becoming a partner with UFC. So let me take a look at this and would love to get your thoughts on this general or specific trend as well.
Yeah, it's one trend is crypto's getting more mainstream in general, right? We're seeing more and more major sponsorships of things that are more household brands. A stadium for physical sport, UFC, one of the fastest growing sports in the world. With this specific one, Crypto.com and UFC, I'm a fan of both companies. So seeing them come together, I'm just cheering it on the sidelines. to see some of my favorite fighters now sponsored in the sponsorship gear in their shirts for UFC 264.
Exactly.
So exciting.
It's
So
logo placed on the apparel, just like you said.
yeah, so I've been a fan of UFC for years. I've been using Crypto.com for over a year. A fan of both products. Last night at the ceremonial weigh-ins for UFC 264, you had every single athlete in a Crypto.com jersey. So I'm really interested to see what this does to Crypto.com's user base, because it's an incredible amount of money to shell out for sponsorship. So I'm interested to see how much of that converts for them.
Yeah, that's a great question. And there was someone on Twitter who said that he didn't get these sports sponsorships for like FTX, Crypto.com, and others. But there was some good analysis I read. They're like, if you do like the marketing analysis and see like who all is interested in sports and who all is interested in crypto, there's like a big overlap in terms of like interests and demographics and things like that. So they said that they could totally see why these companies would want to sponsor these specific sporting and other events and brands.
Yeah, even though crypto's come a long way, it's still a higher risk asset class, and UFC is probably the highest stake sports I could think of. So I think that you're right. In the viewership, there's a lot of overlap. As a case study of one, I'm a good example of someone that really enjoys UFC. It's one of the only sports I really follow, and then obviously you and I are both very passionate about of crypto and digital assets. So I think we're both contributing to the trend.
Yeah, exactly. And it turns out that they've really spread like their tentacles all over the place per se. It's not only the UFC, it's like Formula 1, there's National Hockey League, NHL, soccer, and then other ones like esports, the Heat, like I said, Tom Brady. So they're really going everywhere. Sports, esports, all over the world. Definitely. I think it's a good time too, like during the bull market or like when they still have those bull market profits, set these deals up and they can hopefully reap the benefits for the duration of their deal.
In terms of like up and coming exchanges, we opened the show with Binance, and some concerns around what's happening with Binance. I see Crypto.com as potentially Binance's biggest competitor globally. I mean, who do you think deserves to be in that conversation as an emerging exchange?
Biggest competitor to
Yeah.
Binance?
So like I think a lot about the U.S. market, but like if you take your U.S. blinders off, like globally with what Crypto.com is doing, I think that they're very aggressive in terms of increasing adoption of their products and services. Who else do you think deserves to be in that conversation? Is someone that can globally take market share away from Binance?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think crypto.com is really like they make it really easy too. They have really easy products to get started and they have a very similar approach to Binance. So definitely them. I think FTX is an up and coming one as well. They're beloved by the traders on crypto Twitter. Like they love using FTX and Bitfinex and whatnot. So I noticed that. And per my understanding, FTX is also pretty lean too. So they don't need like 1,000 people, 1,000 employees like Coinbase to run their exchange and whatnot. Let's see.
Yeah, so it seems like this market cycle, Crypto.com and FTX are the real winners in terms of growth. Like thinking about outside the U.S. Coinbase won the IPO race. How about that? Yeah.
Yeah, Kraken's coming soon apparently.
Kraken. Yeah.
I'm looking at the liquidity and volume stats, and Crypto.com's not as high as I expected. I'm not sure if
Yes.
this is true, but it's like much lower than some other ones.
some of their smaller cap listings don't
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of liquidity. Like, yeah,
I
I've
see.
noticed that in their markets,
Yeah,
but
like
they burn an incredible amount on marketing. Like obviously,
so
with see,
24-hour volume according to CoinMarketCap, Binance has 10 billion, Coinbase has 1 billion, and FTX has 780,000 or 780 million. Kraken has 500 million, and where's crypto.com? Crypto.com has 100 million. So crypto.com is like 10 times less than Coinbase and 100 times less than Binance.
so Coinbase is a 10x, Binance is a 100x. Incredible.
What do you think about BNB not really falling after this regulatory onslaught?
Yeah, I mean, if there was any, I mean, obviously there's a lot of FUD on Binance. So if there was anything, that'd be retail selling BNB. I mean, BNB is so centralized. I think that Binance really does control the direction of that token. I would say the same about Crypto.com and CRO. So I think that the price will move the way Binance wants.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard people say that too, that like they kind of control the coin's movements. Because I expected it to fall more in these past few weeks, but it really didn't. It's really held somewhat steady. Let me see. Okay, 1 month view. Okay, here's the chart, 1 month view chart of BNB. Like, not really. I mean, fell a little bit, but not really too much. What did it start at a month ago? Like 350. Now it's at 320. It even came back from this dip.
Yeah, I mean it's the utility token of the Binance ecosystem. Some of these countries that are clamping down, I don't think that they're very large markets in terms of like Binance's global market. But if there was a domino that fell that is more significant, um, then we could see some more breakdown in BNB's price.
What do you think about the? I think it's slowed down a little bit, but in the past few weeks, there was a lot of rug pulls and just like random anonymous projects on BSC. What are your general thoughts on that?
It seems to be the same narrative from DeFi Summer 2020 playing out again on BSC. I mean, if they're largely replicating the code base of an entirely separate project, and then it just seems to have played out on BSC as well. The same things that have played out on Ethereum are playing out on BSC.
Got it.
Yeah, so it's not surprising. If anybody is dabbling with DeFi, be careful. Right, it's do your diligence, do your own research. You don't invest or speculate more than you're comfortable losing. But I'm not surprised that BSC would have some of the same things happen that happened in Ethereum's DeFi ecosystem.
Got it. So the next topic I want to touch on is kind of like, I don't know how closely you follow like on-chain analysts and whatnot, but the handful that I follow, like Willy Woo being one of the most popular ones, he always paints us a bullish picture. Actually, like here, whales are scooping. So let's see. Coins are being scooped off of exchange, and the theory there is that those go to cold storage and they're leaving the exchanges, and so that's like selling pressure being removed. So bullish there. Another view of it: ratio of coins available on exchange versus total supply. Last time I saw this, it took some time before price bounced. It bounced hard. Yeah. And he says anyone short this market will get wrecked given enough time. It's just a waiting game until the fundamentals prevail. So this is just one kind of metric view of it, but him and other on-chain analysts have been like they didn't see this drop from 50K or 60K to 30K coming because they said their view of the on-chain was still pretty bullish. But on the other hand, some of the technical traders see lower to come, like this one who's interviewed by Cointelegraphs is predicting that range you said earlier, the mid 20K range. And they say things like cup and handle, head and shoulders. I've seen that around crypto Twitter because I follow a lot of them also. They say the pattern's handle appears like it's nearing exhaustion. It could fluctuate in the structure for another 3 to 4 weeks and then rally lower, could hit 24K. What do you think about like just this in general, the technicals and the on-chain?
I think it's fascinating. To your first question, I think on-chain analytics are incredibly important to the overall direction of the market. I still think that most of the crypto market is strongly correlated to Bitcoin, and so before you trade and invest, it's prudent to look at on-chain metrics. So I think what Willy Woo and many others do is really important for the long-term view and say the next 6 months to a year of this market cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And then the chartists and the technicals, I think, are very important for the short-term view of, say, the next month. And so I think that, I don't prescribe to, like a cup and handle pattern, meaning that this is exactly how it's going to play out. I more look at key levels of support and resistance, and check in on the charts daily against those levels. And so I look at possibilities, and I do see that 24K is a significant point of support historically, which is how I arrived at that level.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I also don't, I lean towards on-chain, but I like to get all perspectives just to like get a more hopefully fair and like level-headed look at the market. Because like a lot of the on-chain folks, they, like I said, they didn't see this drop coming at all. There were people saying that 50K is the base forever. They're saying statements like that, and that turned out to be hilariously false. But I did see some technical traders before, like even before the drop in early May, they were already saying that they thought for whatever reasons, and they all use different frameworks, right? Whether it's like Wyckoff or whatever metrics and indicators they use, they said that they thought it was going lower. But it's quite interesting to see. Like, obviously, there's no consensus ever. Some people are bearish, some people are bullish, some people say sideways. It's just really interesting to read the perspective from all parties.
Yeah, it is fascinating. I think that a nice way to summarize it for the audience is on-chain metrics are great for the overall market cycle, and technicals can be great for short-term planning.
Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I also agree with you. I also do not think that 66K was the top for this
Yeah,
cycle. And hopefully, the longer we hold this consolidation range, the more likely that we're going to have another leg up later this year.
yeah.
Just out of curiosity, what do you think is the rough range of the top for this cycle?
Yeah, so a lot of my planning, I start to layer out of some of my positions. I actually started at 50K. So I took a lot of profits on the way up to 65K. But I don't have a lot of concern until we start to reach that 100K level, so 100K Bitcoin. And then I'll largely be out of the market if we get up towards 150K Bitcoin. So I'm not one of these people that see 300K Bitcoin this cycle. Much more conservative in my models and planning. But yeah, the three big layers that I'm looking at: 50K, which we've already achieved. I don't know who said that 50K is the new base. To me, that's outrageous. 100K as a key level of concern and a big psychological barrier.
It
And then
is.
150K is potentially a blow off top type of range is what I'm thinking and how I'm modeling.
Yeah, I think the people who say 300K are the people who believe in like stock to flow model. I personally don't believe in that, or I don't. I think it's been negated. And anyways, yeah. So I'm with you. I used to think somewhere in those, or I'm with you in terms of I lowered my range to like your levels, like the 100 to 200K, maybe 150K is like the reasonable like midpoint of that. But I used to think like 200 to 300K, but not anymore given this recent price action. But
Yeah.
what do you think about? Do you remember the? Let me see. Wait a sec. This isn't really the best way to. I should use TradingView instead.
A quick comment on stock to flow. Historically, it's been a very helpful tool, but like any model, it's got variance, and you've got to factor that in when you're looking at the numbers. And so, the longer and more useful a model is to the market, the more it'll be priced in. So to expect stock to flow to be like clockwork this cycle, I think is a lot to ask of the model. But I think that the fundamentals of stock to flow are very interesting. The rate of issuance versus how much is available on the market versus the actual price. I think it's an interesting thing to look at, but I don't see it going to the exact stock to flow price point this cycle.
So, what do you think about this 2013 price action?
I think it's a fantastic base case for what could happen this cycle, right? So you had this
But just
extended,
with less volatility, right? Because if we did follow something similar, then it would go like to 300K,
right, with less
less
less upside.
volatility. Yeah.
But it's a nice base case to look at is an example where, if you look at if this chart right here, summer of 2013, experienced traders would probably have thought that we were firmly in a bear market, right? And you didn't have as much precedent to look at. Whereas now we've got a lot more data, we've got a decade of history, and we can look at this cycle as precedent for the base case for another leg up.
Yeah, I like the so I know there's like some debate around this, but I like to think that the market tends to move in ways that cause like maximum pain. And this case is exactly what would be that pain, right? Just like you said, people would be out of the market. They'd be like bearish, bearish, out of the market, and then they would be in denial this entire way up.
Yeah,
That would
yeah,
be a lot of pain for people.
yeah, and also the pain of being long for another couple months if you're newer to the market, right? So for retail entrants, that this is their first market cycle, July consolidating or being a leg down, August consolidating or being a leg down, especially if they bought in the 50K range, would be very painful. So maximum pain on the consolidation and maximum pain if they capitulate on the last leg up.
And I think we were definitely overdue this big like 50+% correction, because me and my other community members and teammates were like saying how it's been too easy for new folks. Like late 2020, early 2021, it's been pretty much nothing but up with like no real large corrections. And we were like, yeah, it's just like usually the market tries to shake out newbies. Not that it tries to, but that's just like what happens. They try to shake out newbies, get them scared with like big corrections, big dips. But we didn't really have any of that. So we're like, dang, this is like so much euphoria. Everyone's coming in, all these like influencers and celebrities and whatnot. And then what's really funny is that a month ago or so, when we were still like consolidating after that huge crash, I saw people say that they're in this group with people like Logan Paul and like Soldier Boy and all those other people who like all of a sudden came into crypto and loved it, bought a lot of altcoins and whatnot, and they were really scared. They were like, "Oh, it's this cycle's over" or something. Like they're like, "Oh no, like we lost quite a bit. Should we sell?" And so I'm like, this is the market shaking off like all these newcomers who had it too easy.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good way to put it. Is that it was very green for a number of months, even quarters back to back. I did buy into some of this narrative of institutional inflows. Really the first institutional inflows dampening the market. I mean, when we had MicroStrategy come in, Tesla come in, put Bitcoin on their balance sheet. When we had thought leaders on Wall Street come in and recommend 1, 2, 3% allocations to Bitcoin in a traditional portfolio. Really, really exciting new inflows came into the market. What I think contributed to that significant correction is the amount of leverage in the system and the amount of just reckless speculation.
Yeah.
And that's something I didn't think about as a catalyst for the correction that we saw. I was more thinking that things were dampened. And if you look at the 55% correction versus the 80% correction that we're accustomed to, over 10 years of history with Bitcoin, we haven't, if 30K range is the bottom of this correction, then it is dampened. Now, if we're going to 24K, then we're getting closer to the drawdowns that we've seen before
Yeah.
in Bitcoin.
I definitely don't think it'll be as volatile as 2013 though, because if it was, like I did the exact percentage drops and percentage rise afterwards, I believe it would hit like 15K. And if we go under previous all-time highs, that would be like hell on earth kind of happening in our
Yeah,
markets.
I don't think there's a precedent for that, and I don't see 15K as a significant probability at all.
Eric in our live chat pointed out something interesting though. He said he mentioned the laser eyes. Like I remember people saying that should have been a top signal when everyone was adding laser eyes and being like, we're not taking it off until we hit 100K. And now people have took them off.
I saw somebody on Twitter say the top signal was Elon shilling Doge on Saturday Night Live, which
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty darn good one in hindsight.
I tend not to like guess top signals because it's like you can always retroactively point to top signals, but there definitely were a lot of good cases like Dave Portnoy, founder of Barstool Sports. He got into Safe Moon with that crazy video, and now it's like down a lot since then. But like there's so many to choose from, so many top signals to choose from per se.
Yeah, I think the best thing to do is to have a plan, develop the plan before the exuberance comes in, and then execute on the plan. And just layer out your bids, layer in your bids, enter and exit the market with a strategy. Stick to it.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I think this is about it. Let me take a look at the live chat real quick.
Sure.
A shout out to Bruce Park. Thank you for the super chat. He's from Australia. And let's see what else. Okay. Got people from England, Ethiopia, Cambodia. Hello from across the world. Oh, hey, Maddie says, hash rate is a lagging indicator. Question where you get on-chain data from. So I used to have a Glassnode subscription, but I canceled it because the top tier one is what, like $800 a month, I believe. And the second tier still paid, but it's like, I don't know, $30 to $50 a month. That's the one I got. Didn't like it. Didn't like the data and charts I could get from it because they saved their best ones for their top tier. The $800, and just wasn't worth it for me to get the top tier one. And Eric said in July of 2017, BTC price was around 4K. No one saw 20K coming. So that is true. That we could get something like 300K with no one seeing it coming. Because right now I'm more like you. I've lowered my expectations for the top to somewhere above 100K. Not really sure where, but
Yeah,
it could surprise us though.
it's certainly possible, especially in a blow off top scenario. But trying to catch a top is
Yes, it's
incredibly
so
unlikely,
hard. It's so
even
hard.
if you're a very disciplined trader. So that in terms of financial planning, that's where my head's at, so that I'm ready early. But I'd love to see a blow off top up to 300K. That'd be fantastic for the ecosystem. Just not it's not something I'm going to try and catch.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Hello, Joseph from Thailand. Okay. Awesome. So where should we go? Actually, guys, we're gonna have Spencer on the show again in the future. Maybe in a few weeks. Maybe with his teammates and partners as well. But in terms of crypto EQ project research, where should they go follow y'all for that?
Yeah, we're active at CryptoEQ on virtually all social media platforms. So you can follow our social accounts there. And then cryptoeq.io is the best place to visit the web app and learn about what we offer in our research. And we created a special discount for the BFB community. So if you use the code BFB, you'll get a discount on sign up.
BFB is the code. Awesome. Thank you for that. And I just want to say that they have a lot of free articles too about their research, but I paid for the premium because I wanted their in-depth deep dives and use some of that research for our content here that I make for y'all on this channel as well. So definitely recommend you guys go check that out. And we'll catch y'all in the coming weeks.
Yeah, enjoyed it, Kevin. Thanks for having us on.